Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. It's early in the morning. It's just past 4:30 a.m. I've been awake now for maybe half an hour. I want to talk to you about the British royal family, and in particular, Meghan Markle, the fiancée of Prince Harry. I want to share my thoughts, what I feel about this new union. But before I really begin talking about Meghan Markle, I want to talk to you about my feelings about growing up and the British royal family. So I'm first going to talk about the late Princess Diana, so you understand about how I feel and why I feel the way I do and did feel. Well, the late Princess Diana, she is the mother of Prince Harry and Prince William. And again, the late Princess Diana and myself were close in age, actually. She's only a year and a half older than I. And when I first came of age, she had just got married, had started school, started college, and I had my first job. And so from that very start until my 30s, she was the most discussed person, and she was on the most magazine covers ever. Everywhere you turned, there was news about her, and they just hounded her. But I have to be honest, back then, I didn't follow the British royal family. To me, the British royal family and the like represented to me about white supremacy, about power and control over what they call third world nations. And actually, two of my grandmothers were actually born under the British flag. So that meant that if any British royalty came there, they would have been required to curtsy to her. And so I think I had a little contempt, and I probably was a little jealous too of the attention and feeling that maybe controlled. It's just how I felt, I think, and I really want to be honest. So I never really followed the British royal family. In the back of my mind, this is what I'm thinking, that these are the people who had a world empire. As I said, the sun never sets on the British Empire. They had many nations, including the United States, the 13 colonies. So they are a fixture here in the Americas. I didn't feel free at that time. I didn't feel free as it pertains to race, me being a person of color and a black person of Caribbean ancestry. I had this in the back of my mind, and for all my adult life, until Princess Diana's death, that family was in the forefront. And so you couldn't avoid any news pertaining to them at that day. But when I learned of her passing, the late Princess Diana. I was in bed at the time. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and back in those days, I would sleep with my radio on, and I liked talk radio. And they made an announcement, but I thought in my mind, I said, no, it's probably some other lady, another princess, because there's many princesses. And I just thought maybe they talk about some other woman, because again, I couldn't believe that something like that would happen to her. And when I realized it was the same person, when they gave her full title name and that she was married to Prince Charles and her children's name, I was stunned. I was stunned. And again, I didn't follow the British royal family or the late Princess Diana. I remember saying to myself, I said, I have a feeling this is going to make big news in the morning when people get out of bed. I better I had a television set back then. I didn't have cable. I had disconnected my cable TV, but for me to use my old-fashioned television set required that I get what they call rabbit ears. It's these antennas that you put on top of your television set, and it allows you to see the channels. So I remember getting up very early, 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, raced to the nearest electronics store. I think it was Radio Shack I went to. Got it, and then the rest is history. I watched the news pertaining to it, and I remember the flowers that people were sending to the place where she lived, and how it just grew and grew, the amount of flowers that were presented. And I felt I was sad. I was sad. I was sad for her. And I think I felt guilt because I didn't follow her in the media. And again, I didn't read anything about her. I didn't know who she was as a person. But I felt, I remember even, I watched the funeral. I remember the sounds of the horse walking on the pavement. It was a very, very quiet day. And you can hear some people in the background, but outside of the sound of the horse's footsteps, I think there might have been birds, but it was very still. And I felt sorry for those kids. It started to bother me. I think it was just the guilt. This was the first person in the media that was close in age to me, Again, we were only a year and a half apart. And then so for me, this symbolized that vulnerability. That I guess when you're young, you feel invincible. And so, and again, my coming of age was, she was the person that in the media was the main focus in the media, it seemed. And so now that's taken away. And so I felt like a part of me was being taken away because, again, my coming of age was when she was coming of her new status of being a member of the royal family. And so that's where I think the connection was. But I remember I felt, hey, I want to find out who this person was. And so I remember going to the bookstore or the library, and I got, it was a library. And I remember getting books on her. That I remember one of the books was a book designed for young adults. how it presented the, stories about her. It was very straightforward, and I started learning who she was. I didn't know some of the things that she went through. And as time went on, I started finding out more and more that this person was not a happy camper. And I felt for her, the person. And it made me feel depressed. It's really weird, but at that time, I started walking around really depressed. Everywhere you looked, the media, the books, there were a lot of books about her now. And it was like a shadow over me. And I remember even crying when I looked at one of the books, the covers, and it was with her son William. It was a nice picture. He was wearing a military uniform, and the Queen was, when you're in the military, you have to stand at attention, and so she was to review the soldiers, the officers, and her son was there. I mean, the grandson was there, and his smile. He has to, always keep, at attention. He can't break character, because of his grandma. He has to still be at attention, and you see his expression, his love for his grandmother, and vice versa. But they have to, can't break character, and it touched my heart. And I remember I started to cry. It was like I was being really, like it tapped into my sensitivity, very much so. I remember I was crying all the time, very depressed. And again, I think it's guilt because the mother passed away, and then I'm learning about who she was as a person. Okay, so I just felt that I needed to share that part of my history with regard to the British royal family and what it symbolized to me. And again, it symbolized about white supremacy and oppression. So, fast forward now. Now, the Meghan Markle, I never heard of her until it got leaked that she was seeing him. They started seeing each other mid-year in 2016. And then last year, 2017, in November, it was announced that she got engaged to him. But I remember, like, in between, before she got engaged, that month in November, I mean, I have to back up a little bit more. Now, Prince Harry in the past was seeing other people, and I remember how I felt. Again, I wasn't following the media attention on the sons, Prince Harry or Prince William. I might have I remember hearing about when Prince William got married, and I saw a little bit of it, I remember. And with Prince Harry, I remember he had gotten in the media attention when he had, he dressed as a Nazi once at a party. This was maybe over 10 years ago, I think. He was very young at the time. And I think it rubbed me the wrong way. But he's just a kid, again, it's painting a picture, again, about white supremacy. And so I really didn't follow them either. But I remember it may mention he had a girlfriend, and I didn't follow that either. I remember them saying that he was dating someone, a white female that was born in Africa. And again, I'm thinking, okay, there's plenty of black girls in Africa, but he's with a white girl that's born in Africa. So again, I'm thinking, white supremacy. And I really it didn't sit well with me. And I think that same biasness that I had in the early 1980s was there. And so that's why I didn't really want to pay attention. And then it made mention about some other girl. But again, I didn't know that she was a person of color yet. I didn't know who Meghan Markle was. I don't have a television, but I'm heavily on the internet and YouTube. But it was something I was kind of curious. I was. And she was on a magazine cover. I remember seeing it, but I didn't realize she was a black woman, a woman of black heritage, I should say. And then I finally hear directly that she is. I said, really? So, and I remember it was, because it was just starting to come out that they were dating. And this is something like that the person did something on her social media, these two little bananas spooning each other. It was an innocent thing, but the media went with it. But I still really didn't pay attention. And then I remember the media seemed to, because now, it's in the media, and it was intensifying the media attention on this Meghan Markle. Then they made an announcement last year, I think it was in December, that the media is hounding her, and her race was of issue. So I was curious about it. So I think for the first time I actually Googled her name once I found out what her name is. And I said, oh, so this could have been, let's see, maybe October even. It could have been September, October. I started to watch things on YouTube about her. And then I noticed the media started changing its tune. It started to really intensify. And I said, I think they know something. They know something that's going to happen, but they're not letting on. It's something like, it was over this summer, she was at an event with him, I think an Invictus game or something, with people who had gotten hurt in the military and amputees, and they were going to play this game. And she attended, and she was wearing jeans and a shirt, a tailored shirt. And when they said, that she's wearing a husband shirt. Now, I've never heard that expression, a husband shirt. It's a tailored shirt. I said, I think they're hinting on something. And my curiosity intensified too. Yeah. So really at that point, I think it was that weekend. Yeah, that weekend before it got announced about their official engagement, I don't fully understand why, But I just said, I gotta watch her. So that weekend, actually, that whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and it could have even been that Sunday, I just felt compelled to watch anything that I could find on her on YouTube. And then that Monday morning, I get up, turn on my laptop, and the first video that YouTube suggested for me to watch was something on she and Prince Harry. And I pressed on it. It's something about engagement. So I turned that on. And lo and behold, it was like an official press conference announcing their engagement and how they met and everything. So I said, wow. The synchronicity I thought was something else. I was like really, really surprised. It's like, wow. I said, they must have known something. But it turns out that she was actually engaged for a few weeks, but they didn't say it. They didn't say it publicly. They didn't make their official announcement until later. So it was maybe the beginning of November she got engaged, and then they made a public announcement of the engagement. So from that time on, from November to now, I've been watching. My curiosity, because she is an American with Black heritage, like myself. I started to try to find any video about her. And again, I didn't know who Meghan Markle was. I never watched her television show. And it made mention that she is a feminist. She was invited to be a spokesperson on these two organizations. I think one of them is with the UN and another major organization to be like a spokesperson. And I listened to her speech. And then I remember hearing that she has to close down her social media. Now, this is what this video is really about. My concerns about her shutting her social media. Okay, now she's engaged, but she's not married. And she's a feminist. And I'm thinking, well, why should she have to close it down? This is who she is. This is a part of who she is. And until you get married, you're not married. And she has a right to maintain who she is, her own identity. So my concern for her is, with her being a feminist, and I think in how I word it, I think a powerful hand was covering her and protecting her, ordaining her at an early age. Again, she was only 11 years old when she took into her own hands a political issue about women's status. Something, she was watching a commercial in her school. She went to a private Catholic school. And when a commercial came on, the television set in her classroom, it was a dish detergent. And these two boys, she said that, yeah, women's place, women belong in the kitchen. And it offended her, and rightly so. And she told her father about it, and her father said, you should, why don't you write some letters? And she did. And what's amazing about it, at an 11-year-old, with an 11-year-old, she was heard. She wrote a letter to Hillary Clinton and this other woman who's a famous lawyer, and also the company, the dishwashing detergent, the company that made this dishwashing detergent. And the company changed the commercial and changed what it was to say, and to make it more, not to target a gender, but for people across America rather than women across America. And I think that's phenomenal. But it's like, as I mentioned in one of my live streams, my recent stream, that I think there's some type of anointing on her. And because, see, there are people out there who write letters, who make statements, but are never heard regardless. But she was heard at an early age. Again, she was invited by, I think, the United Nations and another organization to be a mouth speech, and she's out there. So when she said in this public event that she was a feminist, I was concerned when she was required to pull down her social media. And my understanding, when someone says that they're a feminist, that there are people who have a strong sense of who they are as a woman, and that they're not to take a back seat. I think with her relationship with William, that it seems more like a partnership. It seems very positive, and they seem to bring out the best in one another. But I'm concerned about the fact that she's not married yet, but there's a control over her. And I'm wondering whether or not is this the best thing for her? What other requirements are the British royal family going to impose on her? They eventually will impose how she's to dress, social media. So I'm wondering, do the two, does feminism and what she's required to do as being a woman who's engaged now to a member of the royal family, whether it's really in her best interest? Because it's part of who she is, and she is an actress, and she's not renewing her contract with the television series. And so I'm wondering, is she throwing it all away? See, there are people who get engaged, but not every engagement results in a marriage. And I'm thinking back a couple of years, actually about 20 years ago, also at the time when I was in school. I was in baking school at that time, about 21 years ago. And I remember at the last phase of the school, before I graduated from the curriculum, there was a woman, in my opinion, she seemed like a very straight-laced savvy woman, not going to let anything deter her. She seemed very, career oriented. And then she dropped out of the program. Yes. And it was at the last phase of the program. And she drops out because of some guy. And I think that she was to get married or something, but it was for this guy. And I thought to myself, wow, you're just gonna, you go through all this, the externship, everything, and the demands of the school, and then you're just gonna throw it all away because of a guy. So that's what I'm thinking of when it was announced that she dropped her social media. And also coincidentally, last year, just maybe 7 months ago, I know of a person who was engaged. And 2 weeks before the actual wedding, they had a falling out, and they didn't get married. And so I guess because of those events, and yet it was so close to the event, but a falling out. And so I'm concerned about her well-being as a feminist, that because everything there is still about protocol, and one's title in the royal family is based on the male, not the female, but your title is handed down according to the male. So that type of arrangement and feminism doesn't seem to mesh well. I'm concerned about her career, her life. I mean, I don't think she'll be destitute or anything like that. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like that, but I'm thinking in the perspective of a woman. Meghan Markle, I'm old enough to be her mother, and I'm looking at her as if, what if she were my daughter? What if she's your daughter, and you're a black woman, and you want the best for her? She's self-made, so to speak. She climbed her way up in Hollywood. They said it was a successful show, but yet I haven't seen the show before. She has her social media, she had close to 2 million, almost 2 million subscribers. That's a lot. I don't know whether she got the subscribership that high because of the announcement of her dating Harry, or what. But either way, she's popular, and she's savvy, and she has a college degree. Now it could be just the next step, and maybe the powers at large has directed her in this, and I would tend to think more of that her life was ordained at an early age, that I believe things are happening behind the scenes regarding her. And that's why I want to really follow about this relationship and her involvement with the royal family. I'm concerned, that I don't want her to throw away who she is or her own family. Because, it's two families coming together. But here, it seemed like one side of the family, the royal family, is taking all of what she had away. And so that's where my concern is. And what if they don't get married? Or what if something were to happen? What about her life? So that's where I'm coming from. I don't want her life like the girl in school, throw away certain things. But again, it could open up other doors of opportunity. And so that's what I'm hoping for her, that this opens up new opportunities that will just accentuate who she is, a person who is concerned about, social consciousness. Will this add to her social consciousness and awareness and activism for women and children? So if this is, then I'm all for her marrying Prince Harry, and I wish for their mutual happiness with one another and their safety. So let me know what you think, what your thoughts are pertaining to Meghan Markle, and whether or not you think she should have been required to pull down her social media, even though she's not married to him yet. So take care, and you can feel free to comment below, to share this audio with friends, family members, and you can subscribe to my channel and to give me the thumbs up. So take care and enjoy. Bye-bye. There was something else, another word of caution in the engagement of Meghan Markle. Remember with the late Princess Diana, how she meets this man. He was an Egyptian, and it was a quick romance during the summer. Well, there was something else that Princess Diana didn't know. Now, it was the father of the guy. It was his encouragement that they meet and date. The thing that the late Princess Diana didn't know was that her boyfriend was actually engaged to another woman. I don't know how long the engagement was. It could have been 2 years or something. Very, very pretty woman. I'm not sure what her nationality was. I forget. But the girlfriend, the fiancé, had found out about the guy. I think his name was Dodi Fayed. It was during that summer in 1997 when pictures came out that the guy Dodi and the late Princess Diana were on a boat trip, and she sees the photo like everybody else in the media, her boyfriend with another woman, and she wanted to sue him. She was to do this because she had a career, she had a job, and Dodi said that he didn't want her to work or do anything because he was going to marry her. So again, you have a woman, a capable woman, and she's following along and doing what she's being told. She put her career and her life on the back burner because she thought she would be marrying into a wealthy Egyptian family who's living in Britain. And then when the car accident happened and he and Princess Diana died in the car accident, I remember there was a immediate, like the press was there with her, and she had to pull the lawsuit. She wanted to get money back for the time she gave up her job to be with this guy. So my sharing this is about women who put their careers, their lives on the back burner because of something that she thought was to be. And here, she's engaged. She showed her ring. It was a very big ring, engagement ring. But yet, he's with another woman, Princess Diana. So I think women should be careful about, even though you might be engaged, really know what your partner's doing. Are they who they appear to be? And when things don't work out, what are you left with? So you have women who invest their time in these relationships, and then the relationship isn't what she thought. The partner could be with another woman or have a series of women, and you give it up. I've heard of women who are married, and they invest their time, their lives in the marriage, and then to find out that their partner wasn't faithful, but you gave up your career, your life. A relationship shouldn't mean that you have to be the primary sacrifice of the relationship, especially as women. Things happen, and you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. Don't be vulnerable. Don't be too vulnerable in relationships. And don't give up you and your financial power.